2016. In 2016, he did a CCNA course and joined TCS, where he was assigned the responsibility of building and configuring additional chassis of the VMware infra at TCS Kochi. Right now, he is a VMware administrator, is admirably curious and ignites a wonderful interest. He was also the vice captain for college basketball team, champions of the PEC Saga tournament, and an active member of the TCS Kochi basketball team. Mr. Nabhan loves to write on random topics and has a blog to his name under the name Nabhan Writes. He has recently taken an interest in the big bounty aspects of cybersecurity. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Mr. Nabhan Hussain. Please, sir.
Thank you, Raseda. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Uh, a very good evening to everyone over here. So, first of all, let me just thank you, Nishina Miss, for this wonderful opportunity. So, part of the reason that I'm here today is one of my batchmates, Fairuz, had actually recommended me to Nishina Miss, and when I got a ping from Nishina Miss, and when you get a ping from any of your old teachers or people that have guided you in your college years, without hesitation, you always are, you know, prone to accept their request, because in the end of the day, sharing what you've learned throughout your, career or throughout your time in TCS, it would be a really wonderful opportunity. Anyways, so what we'll start with today's topic. Today's topic, really, what I really want to do is I mainly aim to get out to you guys two main components. One is I'll be explaining VMware technology. It's something that I'm working on in TCS. And the other portion is about cybersecurity domain and what are the benefits of being an ECE student if you want to pursue a career in cybersecurity. And I have to remind you guys, I am not really an expert in cybersecurity yet. Means I've just recently come to this field. One of the inspirations that I've got is because one of our teammate itself has gone to this field and he's doing pretty well, really well. And his inspiration had led me to search and do a little bit of research. I'm not a big expert on this topic, neither will I claim that I am. But what I really intend to you guys is, I had this feeling that when I left college, if I had known about this, what difference would have that made? What changes, in my field would have been there? So that's the reason I want to share with you the knowledge that I've got in this particular aspect. And, if you get this knowledge, maybe you guys will have a different path that you guys will follow. So hopefully that will benefit you guys. But I have to have this disclaimer out there that I'm no expert in this field. And the research that I've done was really awesome. Means the uh, stuff that you get to do in this field, it's really amazing. So we'll start with the next slide. The main objectives that I want to get out there is, first, I'll give you a brief explanation of VMware technology. You'll understand what exactly is this. The next is I'll go through your own syllabus. I'll show you parts in your syllabus which will be helpful for you if you get into a cybersecurity domain. So for this, I went through each of the subjects that you study in your ECE syllabus, and I found little bit modules or topics that will be very helpful for this. I'm not really going to take a lot of your time. I really wish I don't take a lot of your time, because taking almost 1 hour discussing this topic will be really boring for you guys. Hopefully, I really wish I don't do that. The intention is never to bore you guys. And I have a lot of my friends over here also in this call, I guess. So maybe boring them also would be a really bad part of myself. So let's go. Now going to the next slide. Uh, you guys, if you want, you can take a screenshot of this slide. I just prepared this, later on when you, after this session, if you get into, if you want to do a little bit more research from your end, you can, just give a Google search, that's all. There's nothing to this slide. I'll be explaining the first four topics in big detail. The remaining load balancer, bug bounty, cross-site scripting, all those will be covered little by little because, as I said, these concepts after this topic, maybe it will ignite in you a passion or something like that to pursue this as a career. So going to the next slide. Hope you guys have already taken a screenshot. I am now 10 minutes into my session, I guess. So let's now slow down the pace. Okay. So what we do in VMware technology is imagine a concept, okay? Imagine um, you have a laptop. You have a laptop in which you already preloaded, boot it with a particular OS. It can be Windows, it can be Linux, any such OS. Now the thing is, this device is singular. You have one machine preloaded with one software, one OS or kernel. Now you cannot add extra OS on top of this. What you can do is you can, if you have Windows loaded into this particular laptop, you can install Linux on top of this in a different hard drive. And using a certain tool like Grub, you can select which OS you want to load into this particular device, right? So at a time, only one OS will be running. Now, what if you had the opportunity that you get into Windows OS, you're loaded into Windows OS. Inside that, in a separate environment itself, isolated from the rest, you're able to run a different set of OS. For example, Linux or any Unix type or MS-DOS, old types of OS that is separated from your main OS, main operating system. That would be awesome. But now, what are the implications over here? It means at a single time, the CPU and the hard RAM utilization is shared across the laptop. So if you have a 8 GB RAM, 4 of that, if you use 50 percentage, 4 GB of that RAM would be to operate the OS that is within your OS, a virtualized environment. Now, what VMware did is they scaled this particular concept, and what they were able to do is in a particular server, they were able to help load multiple platforms, multiple OS, be it Windows, Linux, or any such OSs into this particular single server. And the operating system they used is ESXi. Uh, so coming back to what I want to discuss is, if you look at the slide that I've shared here, is it's called vSphere. vSphere, in the sense, this is the product that VMware technology has come up with. Their aim was to mass scale this virtualization. They wanted a platform where a virtualization concept could be used by enterprises or organizations, thereby saving millions of dollars money in the, and also they can utilize in saving power utilization, because if you look at it from that standpoint, you're using one device to support 70 such means virtualized environment, right? So 70 times it is reduced. And if you look at the slide, I would say just take a brief look at it. You'll see there is the ESXi host. In the bottom part of the slide, you'll see ESXi. That is the environment. That is what is called the operating system. On top of that, you have these VMs that will be loaded onto it. And from a management standpoint, you need to be able to manage these devices. So including into vSphere, we have this vCenter appliance that will be connected to these hosts that will control or manage these VMs. So for example, you want a VM to be uh, increased in CPU or increased in RAM. You can connect to the vCenter. From there, you can select your VM which you want to increase, which resources you want to increase. And from there, you can add in CPU, you can remove CPU, you can add in RAM. All that can be done. You can add in your network adapters. And complete configuration of a particular VM will be able to be done from a vCenter. So going to the next slide, I just want to show you the type of OS that is being used. This will be the OS, the ESXi OS. As you can see, it does not have any graphical user interface. This as it is it like it's like a command prompt, right? It means it's not highly configured with a big graphical user interface, but yeah, there is certain aspects of the configuration that you can change from this OS. Uh, I'm so really confused if you guys can keep up with me. But just to summarize what I've been saying is, you have a server in that you load it with, instead of normal conventional operating systems, you load it with ESXi. ESXi is the hypervisor that we'll be using. And this hypervisor will help in virtualizing different sets of virtual machines inside a single physical entity. And now if it's one entity, that is well and good. But what we can do is we can connect several entities, cluster it, and from that single cluster, we can control that particular cluster using a vCenter management appliance. Now going to the next slide, what I want to show you is, we said VM. VM in the sense, just take a brief look at this picture. You'll be able to understand most of the thing that I've been trying to say here. This is just for servers. We've not got to the part where we'll be provisioning desktops across this interface, this particular vSphere. Here we are just loading servers, and from there you can see on top of the ESXi, you have the big different sets of VMs. From the VMs, you have the vCenter server that is controlling that is connected to each different set of hosts. And from a management or a system admin perspective, you have this user client that connects to this vCenter server. From there, you'll manage all these different sets of hosts. So if you want to increase a particular utilization, increase a configuration for CPU or RAM, you'll be doing it from where you're sitting, like a vSphere client. You'll use a desktop. You'll connect to the vCenter. From there, you'll have your configuration done. Now we'll just go to the next step, next picture. Now, what is the scenario if you have desktops provisioned in this environment? Well, over here, what you would need to do is uh, you would have to have you would have to have a device that when a user requests for his desktop, he should be guided to access his particular desktop, the desktop that is assigned to him, and whatever his desktop, the display that his desktop is doing in the environment, that should be transmitted back to his endpoint, his system that is there in his home. So here, if you can look closely into this image, you'll see a horizon connection server. Just focus on this horizon connection server, regardless of any other recent devices that are shown in the picture. Just see this as, if a person, for me example, I connect to this environment, my hit, it will go to this connection server. It will see which desktop is assigned to me. It goes to that desktop. Whatever is displayed on that desktop, it comes back and a connection is made. Uh, so this is the case if you have multiple desktops deployed across your infrastructure. And this is amazing because one of the best benefit that we saw from this particular infrastructure is last year when the COVID happened, we were in a challenge to deploy multiple environments to people across, you know, to accounts that we had supported. And the challenge that we faced was this VDA infrastructure. It's not actually connected, it's not accessible from outside, right? So we had this security in place that helped the user to connect to this environment. And just like that, we were able to provision whatever amount of desktops are deployed in our environment. All those had become accessible for the user from outside. So what he in turn had to do was he did not have to get out of his home in such a crisis. From his home, he was able to connect to these devices and his work was carried out as normal. So this benefit, it was shown over here, and it's amazing because if you have this solution where you're able to do this, and at the same time, if your the people in your company, their health, their uh, services to the company come as a priority, and you're able to safeguard that because of the solutions that are applied and the solutions that you support, it's a really amazing thing, right? So now we'll go to the next slide. With this, I'm almost done with my VMware technology part. It's now the second portion that I want to deal with. It's the cybersecurity portion. And I want you to see this from your perspective as a student for ECE. What are the things that you need to know to get started in this field? So these are the few things you need to know. You need to have a network basic foundation. You need to have you need to have this skill where you can read logs from machines. It's not necessary. Those are actually for troubleshooting. If you're into troubleshooting and all that, but reading logs and understanding what a machine is doing when it's completing a process, it's really beneficial if you're joining this field. And another is you need to understand the different types of network security that in place. You need to have a brief understanding of the different types of cryptography that is being done, DS algorithm, RSA algorithm. I think you guys have already studying these types of algorithm in an elective that is there in semester 8 or 7, I'm not sure. Then you need to understand the different types of security techniques that are there. I'll just give you a brief on each topic. If you take the case for networking basic foundation, it's just simple. You just need to understand how do you configure a network in an environment, what types of switches you'll be using, what is this VLAN concept, how are these devices communicating with each other. Because basically what is a network? It's just an interlink of different computers, and how this is done, getting a basic understanding of that would be really helpful. Now, another is like you need to get a deep sense. You're into this troubleshooting and all that. You'll see when an application crashes, has a crash or something, they'll provide you with these logs that you can open in Notepad, and you can, go through these logs, trying to figure out what is happening. Even if you're not there, if you are not responsible for building the application, when you get into this field, reading these logs, little by little, you get to have a understanding of, the frequently seen logs, and what each log is indicating, what is happening, what type of authentication is occurring. All those would be easily accessible by you then. Now, the different network defense tactics, I would say, is well, you can see this network defense tactics as firewall. Mainly, what comes to my mind is firewall. But believe me, there are thousands, millions of different ways that you protect a network. Firewall comes to me because it's a basic minimal level of protection that can be provided. Now we've advanced to all this, machine learned antiviruses, machine learning capable antiviruses, this threat detection in devices which detects a threat and then, redirects you to a particular deception point where you are trapped in while trying to threaten a network organization or enterprise. Then we have this cryptography, and cryptography, I'm so sure that you guys must have learned about cryptography is because, when part of my project was having this DES algorithm done, this encryption and decryption interface done using reversible logic gates, and I'm thankful for my guide who helped me then. I'm strictly, advised not to do extra comments on that on my guide for matters unknown. But anyways, that was helpful because I know that you guys must have learned a little bit of these encryption techniques that I used, and I want you to know that these encryption techniques is basically the same thing that will be used in the, the environment that the other environments that support this. So if you go into this field where you are, sending data through and fro, there'll be encryptions, not as the same as the DA, because those are all old types of encryptions. Now they've moved on to hashing and all that. You guys must have also learned about this hashing algorithm, how this it's a unidirection. You can only change it from one. You can only it's a you can't reverse it. Those kinds of stuff. I'm sorry if I'm not making any sense. I'm really sorry. If in the question and answer sessions, I promise to give you the chance to get anything cleared off if I am capable. And the fifth point, web application security techniques. This is mainly when you see a web application and you see these inputs that can be provided to the web app. Take an example of a form that you have to fill. You have these input layers. But what actually happens in behind this web application, once you click on submit, they have a process of, validating the inputs that you've provided, checking if the inputs you've provided are not scripts. There's actually a technique where you can, it's called cross-site scripting, where you actually, instead of providing your normal input of in a form where you provide your name and all that, you'll be able to provide a certain type of script that is formulated, that when it gets saved in that particular web application and the next user that clicks on that particular page, he'll be popped up with this particular script. And that's just the default normal thing that we learn. But if you there are people that are really experienced in this field that can create amazing types of scripts, that if a web application is vulnerable to this type of vulnerability, cross-site scripting, then they can actually implement these scripts that give them the complete control over that particular device. Now if you go to the next slide, I'll just I've give you the different semesters and the modules that you go through, which these are the basic foundations that you'll have, that when if you learn these type, if you get a clear idea of what all this is, you'll be able to when you start your field in cybersecurity, it will not be that difficult to get started. It will not be that complicated or something. So if you see your semester 4, over there you have computer organization, where you get a different layout of the DRAM, the SRAM, memory chips in basic. So you get an understanding of what are these cache memories, what are these buffer memories. And when you say buffer, there's actually a particular vulnerability, and this vulnerability is that you have this buffer register, right? And we, as if you're a bug bounter, or you're a penetration tester, you would try to fill up these buffer overflows. You'll try to fill up this flow buffer registers using values, hexa values, that in sense, for example, if you take the complete digit FFF, it's equivalent to all ones, right, in the digital system, in the binary system. So there is this case that there's a security in place that prevents this from happening. The user is not supposed to input this value, because once he inputs this value, it causes a crash to the application. So when you go through the application, if you're testing an application, if it's vulnerable to this particular buffer flow or vulnerability, you have this method to overpass it, to bypass this particular security that is in place. And then you input your value, your extreme, all 4 values, and then it crashes, and then you can report this case to whoever has created this application, in turn which they provide you with rewards. Reward in the sense dollars, or triage, they'll give you appreciation or something like that, which is really valuable in the cybersecurity domain. And when I say cyber security domain, I don't want you guys to understand it as the field where, because in cybersecurity there'll be different streams. I'm only focused on the part where you have this bug bounty concept and you have this penetration testers, because that is what is more exciting than the rest. Don't get me wrong, I am not sure about the rest. Those all topics would definitely be amazing. The place where a person is responsible for creating this network layer or security layer where no other threats can get into the organization or enterprise or the network, or this creation of these applications that help prevent any vulnerable softwares from getting installed in the devices. All these layers, those are all amazing. But in the sense, when you talk about this bug bounty concept, this is the thing that really gave a spark or excitement to all the things that I'm trying to explain. So there's a lot of fields where you can get started. I'll through walk you through what all if you want to get started, you can get started now itself. You don't have to complete your engineering, or you don't have to even have a degree for this. And if you get really good at it, I mean, the rewards that come with it is humongous. It's amazing that the amount of reward that you will get. Now, I'll just walk you through the semester 8, because that is the part where you'll, get an understanding of the network concepts. And in every, if you start learning networking, the first thing that they're going to teach you is what is OSI model, what are the different layers of OSI model. For those that have reached the semester 8, this particular concept is taken through any network, basic networking course that you'll maybe get started with. Take it CCNA. The first thing that they're going to teach you is what is OSI model, what are the different sets of model, application transport, the session layer, the basic fundamental data layer, and all that. That is the first thing they will be teaching you guys about. And then, as I went through your syllabus, there is one elective in your semester that really caught me. If you go to the next slide, I will show you. This is cyber security. And I was like, what? Cyber security? And why I'm shocked by this is because I didn't know about this elective. And when I went through your syllabus, I was like, okay, you have a you have what you call, you have a syllabus, you have a module where there is cyber security and all that, but what is there in this module? So if you go to the next slide, I was like, what? This architecture of vulnerability scanners, this is basically what is being done over there. This is not an in-depth concept, but this is exactly what we're doing. You have a vulnerable engine, a core engine that will scan for your application and see which all vulnerabilities are there. Then it will generate the report. And another thing that just caught my attention from this was, this is in the syllabus. I got this from KTU notes. So this is actually there in your syllabus. If you go to the next slide, I want to show you one more thing. It's about banner grabbing. I wish you guys can get this PPT, because most of the things that are there in this, like the SMT protocol, port number, the file transfer, you'll have to get yourself familiarized with these port numbers, because when you're testing a network, these are some of the port numbers that will keep popping up. And most of what you'll be analyzing is how to test a vulnerability if it exists in such ports, and there are different applications. If you go on below, you'll find Nmap, Zmap, this NetScan, Telnet. These are all, if take for example Nmap, this actually is an excellent tool that is famous for some reason. I'm not sure why it's famous, but when you scan a network, and if it's a small network, and you give Nmap, and there's a certain command that is supposed to be given on how you want it to scan, and after the scan, the results that you get is amazing, because you see which all ports are opened from a particular network device. You see which all, what type of application is coming through those ports. For example, if you have Apache server that hosts a web application, those things will come out from that particular port number. So you get a brief idea on what ports are running, what applications are running in when you do an Nmap. and it's okay if you don't understand what I'm saying. Means if you don't understand nmap and all those concepts that I'm just trying to throw at you guys, it's because uh, I've done a small research. It's very small, not even gone deep into it. And these are the things that keep popping up, this nmap thing, the zmap, and all these things. It will be explained by multiple, content creators regarding the in the ethical hacking domain. And this is something that has given a quite interest. And this particular banner grabbing thing, it's actually there in your elective, inside your elective in a module. You're actually learning about this. So if from the end of this topic, if you are interested in this, I'm not sure if you have this elective over there. I think when I was given a list of electives that were available. I'm not sure about you guys, but anyways, if you go to the next slide, I'll just give you like an understanding of what all things you can do to get started. Now you understood that the main question is EC required for cybersecurity domain? Well, the answer is no. It's not required. It's not a requirement that you need to get into this field. But is it helpful? Definitely yes. The thing is, it's helpful. And do you need a college degree? Better, even better. You don't need a college degree. So those who have multiple supplies or struggling with their academics, you to hell with it. You don't need. Sorry for my language. You don't need your academics, but I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be proclaiming that out loud. Anyways, so what I'm saying is, like, even if you have a lot of supplies and you are depressed, that you're not doing good in your academics, it does not matter, because if you have a flair for this domain, you don't even need a college degree to get started in this bug bounty thing. This penetration testing thing, you don't need. It's recommended when you get into an organization that you have a degree in CS or EC or any other equivalent BTech degree. But otherwise, if you're not focused on getting into an organization and you want to do this as something else, there is an option. I would not say that I want you guys to pursue it, because looking at it from certain point, it's risky, because if you're not able to find vulnerabilities, you'll not get paid out. And if that happens, then it leaves you in a really big mess. But if you get really good at it, the payout is amazing, means it's really amazing. Now I'll just, I wanted to discuss, yeah, I've covered these topics. If you go to the next slide, these take a screenshot of this, because I'm very sure that just if you want to get started and complete these 5 steps, you'll get amazing in this particular field. The reason I know is because I've tried a little bit of this. I'll never say that I've got in depth into it, but these going into this hacker one is actually a web application platform where they give you live videos, tutorials, how to get started, and they even have these training sessions, in-depth training sessions, amazing training sessions. They give you the chance to practice your skills. They'll give you a web application, and in that you'll have to find a particular vulnerability. And once you find that vulnerability, they'll give you this flag. This all can be done from this hacker one thing. And same goes with try hack me is more of a what you call OS level type of vulnerability finding. You not like the application one, web application one. This is more like focused on vulnerabilities that you can find in OS or applications that are hosted in certain OS environments. The hack the box thing, this hack the box type of website, right? This is amazing, because if you want to get into this website, you actually have to hack the web application. If you if you first try to get into this, you won't be able to sign up. Whenever you try to sign up, it just keeps reloading the page that you are in. So that will maybe get you confused. But the thing is, you actually have to find a way to hack into this web application, hack the box site, and then they will give you this invite link or the token or something, that which you can then start with your training or whatever you call it. And another advice would be is go and follow these YouTubers, this talk cyber mentor, because these people, right, they just got into stock and cyber mentor. These guys, they got into cyber security, this bug bounty thing, without any previous knowledge of any concept of networking or any concept of application. So going through their videos, it would be more beneficial because they know how to present their content to you guys. I hope I'm doing a better job, good job, not better, good job in trying to explain this to you guys. But anyways, in the question answer session, you guys will tell me if this has been helpful or not. Anyways, take a screenshot of this, go back to this. It'll be helpful for you guys. And yeah, ma'am, you can go to the next slide. This is just a brief explanation on different websites that are there. Try hack me. If you can see, there's this deploy VMs, the VMs that we talked about earlier. Uh, Deploying VMs and all that you can see over here. You will be able to deploy it, and then you will access those VMs and then find vulnerabilities. That is all possible from this try hack me thing. I've not personally done any try hack me stuff yet, but hoping to do in the future. You may be able, Miss, you can go to the next slide. Okay. This is hack the box thing. And this is what I was saying, the sign up thing. This is the page you'll get. You'll enter your details. Once it loads, nothing will happen. You'll just be redirected back to this page. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to get this page, and then you'll have to find something that will be possible to hack into this. It's available in YouTube, and no beginner will be able to hack it because you don't have the prior knowledge or anything. But it's really fun. If you try doing it, it will be really fun. Miss, you can go to the next slide. Okay, I've taken almost 40 minutes of my session. And this is Hack the Box. That is the guy's talk. What I'm saying is this guy, he's amazing because he just got into bug bounty just like that, and then he's able to, showcase himself really well. This is just dashboard of how their site looks like. There's nothing. I don't want to explain anything. I'm just showing you guys what it is like. If you see the learning tracks and all that, there'll be a lot of stuff. You have this mobile application and all that. This is something you guys will have to research. Hopefully, it will be helpful for you. One of the reasons I'm trying to explain this to you guys is because I wish when I left college or when I was in college, I had known about these stuffs. Anyways, now you guys know. It's open to your choice right now. Your options are available right now. So here goes. That's all for my session. You can go to the next slide, and that will be it. If you want any feedbacks or anything, you can give it to my mail ID. Not really that active in Instagram, but that is my ID if you do want to do anything. That's all. So here goes. That's my conclusion for this topic. Just summarizing, I gave a brief description on VMware technology and what is the benefits of an ECE student in cybersecurity. Hope that has covered it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nabhan. If you have any queries, you can either post in the chat or you can unmute and ask. Participants, if you want to ask something to our speaker, you can use this time. Okay, so hope no one have any doubts about these topics, and it's pretty clear how will it will help an electronics engineer to pursue in cybersecurity career. So thank you, Nabhan. It was indeed great listening to you. I hope all the participants were benefited by today's talk in getting some insights about the role of electronics engineers in the cybersecurity space. Before we wind up, I'd like to invite Ms. Asna TM for the official vote of thanks. Asna, please.
Good evening, all. Coming to the end of today's webinar, I would like to thank the vibrant orator, Mr. Nabhan Hussain, for giving us so much of information on the scope of ECE graduates in cybersecurity field. I am very well sure that we all have got some insights on it. Once again, thank you, sir. I would like to thank our HOD, Dr. Gopakumar sir, for giving us this talk, which had been really knowledgeable. Next, I would like to thank our coordinators of this program, Dr. Nishini Akbal and Dr. Shilpa Suresh, and also the student coordinators for arranging this program. Last but not least, I thank all our participants across the colleagues who joined with us for today's talk. I am sure you all walking out with some insight induced in you. Before we wind up, we wish to give a small virtual memento as a token of appreciation. Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I've also shared a feedback form in the chat. Kindly please fill your valuable feedback about the session so that it will help us to improve next time. So thank you all who have joined this time. We'll be back with still more exciting topics. Have a good day.